Welcome back, everybody. This is your three-man booth. I'm Dan Salem with Phil and Bud, and we got a lot of to react to. We're Jets and Giants fans here, and so up and down is kind of like maybe or both down, depending on who you ask. So we'll start there, Phil. Phil, you're the Giants fan. There's the big elephant in the room. Your star player got traded. Why don't you give us your thoughts before we move any further?
So we typically do these on Tuesdays, and I had a prior commitment that I had to do that I'm driving to, and about 8 o'clock Eastern time, my phone starts blowing up. I think something's going on, and I'm like, wow, I don't believe what I'm reading right now. This literally came out of absolutely nowhere. I know Bud's been saying it for weeks, and I was just telling Dan before, I go, if we did this last night, I was literally going to go on a rant that said if I see one more bogus Odell Beckham trade story, I'm going to lose my mind. Clearly, I would have had egg on my face because this was no one saw this coming. I mean, if you want to, where there's smoke, there's fire. But
I mean,
everyone was surprised that it's happened yesterday.
Everyone was surprised that it happened because they were talking about it a year ago when it made sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It makes sense now, and I'll tell you why. Because one, they got a lot in return. I think the Giants did well.
Yeah,
and you don't want a year from now another Antonio Brown situation with Odell Beckham Jr. That simple. I think the Giants saw the writing on the wall that this guy was just going to be not a team player, and I've been saying it for a couple of years now that he wasn't. I've been saying it for a couple of years that he's got an attitude problem, and just let him go. And listen, not for nothing, Cleveland is stacked.
Oh man, well, and that division was getting worse and worse around them, and then they just.
I think that's part of the reason why they pulled the trigger on this, because you see Pittsburgh obviously losing two huge players. The Ravens were losing players left and right, and then the Bengals are just doing nothing. So Cleveland's like, well, what the hell? Let's just go for it. And I've been saying, I mean, we've been talking about this week after week after week, that the teams that make the Super Bowl, and you mentioned the 3 or 4 year window, it's the quarterback with the rookie deal. You have all these other guys you're not paying. Cleveland is in that spot that they're in that window right now.
Yeah, well, and they had a good team last year after they switched coaching staffs. And so to add a couple more weapons is huge. I mean, like you said, Baltimore's defense fell apart. Pittsburgh's offense fell apart. I don't know what's going on in Cincinnati. That's their division right now. It's kind of.
You know that 14 months ago, Cleveland was 0-16? Oh, now they're 14-1 to win the Super Bowl.
And they finished what, 7-8-1 last year. And I think they just got better offensively. I think defensively, yeah, the loss of Jabril Peppers hurts, but at the same time, I mean, I don't think it's going to hurt that much that he can easily be refilled. The Giants, on the other hand, it makes sense for them to move on from Odell. It's kind of surprising that they haven't moved on from Eli yet. He's guaranteed $5 million on Sunday. So if he's still on the roster on Sunday, he gets a roster.
No, they'll cut him by Friday. They gotta cut him. I mean, why carry more dead money? They're carrying so much dead money right now. It's unbelievable. Them in Pittsburgh.
Well, if they release him now, it's 23. It's a 20. He would be $23 million, but the $17 million on the cap. So that's a lot. But if they cut him after Sunday, it's 17 on the cap. $5 million guaranteed on the cap for the signing for the roster bonus. So it's $22 million on the cap. So either he's going to be a really expensive mentor or you got to let him go, right?
Well, so this is what I think, because of the way they handled this situation 2 years ago and effed it up big time. I think they don't want to disrespect Eli. So they're trying to restructure his deal to keep him as the mentor and not cut him and then re-sign him a week later. Like, if they just cut him, it's going to look awful for him.
Well, I think last year had to do with they thought, and obviously this blew up in their face, they thought they had a better offensive line. It
was 2 years ago.
No, I'm saying last year. The reason why they drafted Barkley in the first place. They had Barkley, you had Beckham, you had an offensive line which you thought was better because you got Nate Solder, Eric Flowers was on his way out. So they figured we have enough weapons, we're going to make one more run at this, and obviously that ended up blowing up in their faces.
I mean, they didn't have the defense either. Even if the offensive line was there, the defense was good, but not.
Yeah.
Well, their defense is going to be really bad this year. I mean, they're going to be really bad this year.
Well, so now this begs the question, because the Giants got 2 number ones. Are they looking to trade up now for sure because they got 2 number ones.
See, here's my question. Do they so here's the thing. I keep hearing this now that they have a number 7 and a number 6 and a 17. There's like a math equation that you need to have to actually move up in the draft. I'm not going to pretend that I know what this solution is, but you actually have to have a certain amount of assets to trade up to number 1, number 2, number 3.
Yeah.
So if no other team behind them at number 6 that needs a quarterback has these assets, which I don't even think they do, why are they going to package 2 picks to move up to the draft when one of these guys is going to fall to them anyway?
So only because I wouldn't put it past Oakland or Arizona to take the quarterback the Giants want just to force their hand.
There's no way they're doing that. I don't think that's all right. So if Arizona does and they pick Kyler Murray, that means Josh Rosen's available. If Josh Rosen came out in this draft, he'd be the number 1 pick, no problem.
Right.
There's no debating that. So
Yeah.
if they're gonna pick him, they figure, all right, well then we're not gonna keep Rosen and Kyler Murray, so we're gonna get rid of one of them. So that puts him open. Obviously, the Jets don't need one, the Raiders don't need one, the Niners don't need one.
Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Phil, I think you're living in a little bit of la la land here. I think with John Gruden, I'm not so sure that he's sold on Derek Carr.
Mm-mm.
And if he's not sold on Derek Carr, anything is available. Anything is open. If they want a quarterback, they got to move 3 or 2. That's what I think. And if that means that you got to package these 2 first, or you got to package the 6 and next year's 1 and 2 to move to 2 or 3, that's what you're going to have to do.
So we talked about the rookie deal situation, right? This is Derek Carr's final season with the Raiders. I think if he plays great, they can trade him. If he plays bad, they'll just cut him. But they're going to draft a new quarterback because they got a high pick. John Gruden's offense, and he ran a quarterback show. I don't think he's passing on Murray if he's there for him.
You think so? I've heard nothing about that at all yet. So that's an interesting thought. But you want Kyler Murray throwing to AB, or do you want at least Derek Carr, who you've had a year with him, his tendencies, what he can and can't do?
I don't think Murray would see the field this season necessarily, especially if Carr's playing well. But Carr's got no value right now.
Why wouldn't the Raiders go defense? Why wouldn't they pick obviously one of these stud defenders? Literally, they'd be wasting a pick on a quarterback in my opinion.
I don't think the Raiders make smart decisions, and I don't think that they favor defense very much. So even if it's a defensive heavy draft, I think that once in a lifetime quarterback is a tempting.
But that doesn't exist in this draft though. There is no once-in-a-lifetime quarterback.
We're talking about the guy who thought Christian Hackenberg was a number 1 pick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true.
But
it's funny too. So
he traded Khalil Mack for a bag of peanuts.
Yeah,
he's a little bit off his rocker, Phil. I mean, if Kyler Murray is still sitting there, or Haskins is still sitting there, which he probably is, one of them is going to be there.
Well, one of them will be there.
Right. So you have to move ahead of him. I'm sorry, you just have to. If this goes back to the Jets, right? The Jets last year were 6. They knew that they wanted 1 to 2 players. Okay, they wanted Baker Mayfield or they wanted Sam Darnold. Okay, so Baker goes 1. You have to move. You have to move up.
Well, they moved up. They moved up before the draft. They moved up before the draft even happened, though.
I know, but what I'm saying is that they knew that at 3, one or both would still be on the board.
Yeah, they moved up as far as they needed.
That's what I'm getting at. You were,
I'd be shocked if the Giants don't trade up. The Giants and the Jets are in a perfect position to trade right now. I think the Giants got to move up to at least 3. I'd be surprised if they don't.
Who picks 2? 49ers?
Arizona.
49ers.
Or 49ers? It's not Arizona.
It goes Arizona 49ers, then the Jets.
Okay. Then
I don't know. I think then the Raiders go 4.
Then I think Tampa. I think it's Tampa's 5.
Okay, Tampa and then the Giants.
Right.
Tampa needs a quarterback too. Jameis Winston's
Well, it's funny. So as we're talking, I feel like Adam Schefter over here. So there's an ESPN push notification that says New York's current plans is for Eli Manning to remain the start of the season. So he's going to be on the roster come Monday.
Oh, so this is just a total dumpster fire. That's the worst thing about this Beckham trade for you, because last year it would have been okay. You're coming off a bad season. You figure, you got a rebuilding year under your belt. Now you've suffered 2 bad years in a row, and now you're dumping your best players. Like, I feel like at least the Jets dumped them a season ago before.
Yeah. No, I feel like they thought that they had
Yeah.
one more
No, they have
run in it, and it blew up because the season before that, the 3-13 was all about injuries. Let's call that like it is. There was a ton of injuries.
Well, they all revolted against McAdoo, who got fired.
Yes, that is 100% true. Thank God he's out. But again, so I was talking to someone else today. I said, I'm really not as upset as I probably should be because you weren't going to win this year. You didn't win you haven't won any playoff games with him yet. This is what you have to. This is how you win in the NFL now. You have to make these kinds of moves. And how many times have we said it? What Super Bowl winning team has had a stud wide receiver, a max stud wide receiver?
Hold on. Patriots have had Ron Gronkowski every single time.
Wide receiver.
He is their number one receiver.
Well, no, for them, yeah. But I mean, they don't have the high. Let me rephrase it. The highest paid player in the game. What team has won a Super Bowl with them?
Well, you can't win that way because you got to spread the money around.
That's what I'm saying.
But they have a stud receiver. Don't discount them.
No, I'm not saying stud. I'm saying like top tier, like second or third highest paid player in the league. Yes, I know he's a tight end. He's their receiver, but
okay,
he's the exception.
Contracts, yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about contract wise.
I mean, every team that's been in the Super Bowl has had that type of player. Gurley on the Rams and the Falcons and Julio Jones a couple years back. It was the year before the Eagles. Now the Eagles kind of didn't. They were maybe the exception.
Yeah. More often than not, the teams that are winning, besides the Patriots, again, we use Russell Wilson as an example all the time. There's the rookie quarterback. You got Drew Brees is the exception, but you know what I'm saying. All these teams that are making the push, like you said, they have a 3 or 4 year window. Well, this is Cleveland's window, and like Bud said, that offense is going to be amazing to watch.
We got to talk about our Jets too. Let's not talk too much about the Browns. I don't really care about the Browns. It's just interesting. So the Jets took the quarterback and now traded for the running back. The Giants took the running back and are expected to pick the quarterback. I'm not sure that there's a right or a wrong way to do it. Both teams were equally bad last season. But the Jets definitely have more upside this season, whereas the Giants
there's no doubt about that.
Very little to no upside. I'm thrilled with the Bell deal because they didn't overpay for him. He actually got significantly less than he was hoping for and less than the Steelers offered him last summer. So I'm very happy, assuming he plays anywhere near his former level. Obviously, if he sucks, then it's a dump. But I mean, it's big money still, but
I don't think he's going to suck.
No.
And I have been overly impressed with what the Jets have been able to do so far. I mean, could you imagine what this defense could look like if they had C.J. Mosley and Barr?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, the fact that he bailed on him. I mean, I guess it is what it is, right? But
did he take less to go back to Minnesota?
A little bit.
A little bit. But I mean, it's all right. The Jets will fill in that spot in the draft most likely.
Right. So, but I look at it this way: they've gotten better on the offensive line. They've gotten better at linebacker. They've gotten better at corner. The defense, I think, with Greg Williams is going to be better. Obviously, anything's better than what they were last year. And they're putting people on offense that can help Sam.
Yeah.
Grow. Signing Crowder, I think, is a huge deal. And obviously with Le'Veon Bell, I mean, we all saw what he was in Pittsburgh, right? So it opened up the game for Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was not nearly as good as he was in years past. I mean, so hopefully that's going to open up the passing game, and he's going to be better out of the backfield. I mean,
it's better than anything you've had in the past 6 or 7 years of running back. There's no question about it.
I'm a big Elijah Dwyer fan, and so for him to back up Bell is going to be huge for him because he was like a late round pick. He's been getting better. That would be real good. I mean, I think they're going to probably cut Crowell this week.
Oh, you have to cut Crowell. I mean, it's a $7 million cap hit if he's on the roster. So he's got to go.
So I was sad to see that they lost their 2 Pro Bowlers to their team. But it's the kicker and a 31-year-old kick returner, so it can't be too hard for it.
I like Roberts, though.
I did, too. Yeah, he went to Buffalo.
I like Myers, too. I mean, they really haven't had a kicker since Nick Foles.
I know. It's ironic, though. I think Myers went to Seattle, he was going to sign with them last year before they cut him. And then the Jets grabbed him. So I don't know what's up there.
So what's your confidence level, the fact that he sat out an entire year? from
I
football?
don't, it doesn't bother me.
Just curious.
No, it doesn't bother me either. It's one less year of taking hits. He might be a little out of shape, but he can get into regular shape by the time OTA start.
I think what matters most is that you're with the team in the off season, so he'll be with them all off season. Like when someone joins in August or September, it's a steep learning curve. So he's got plenty of time to get acclimated.
I don't know. He's had a year off. Hopefully, he wasn't smoking any of the weed this last year.
I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
Well, one more violation, he's going to get kicked out of the league. Let's hope he didn't, for your sake.
I hope he did because it'll heal him better than all those pills.
Well, that's a whole separate argument. So, so Dan and I were talking. I mean, it's last year you had the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes, but between signings and trades, I mean, this last 2 days has been the most active I've seen the NFL offseason in years, in absolute years. I mean, you can make the case that the Beckham trade is the biggest high-profile trade in the NFL in recent memory. I mean, what other star player got traded in the last 5 or 6, 7 years?
In his prime.
In his prime, yeah.
Antonio Brown and Amari Cooper.
Yeah, well, listen. So Antonio Brown only netted a third and a fifth. We got a first and a third. I mean, yeah, there's a 5-year age difference, but I mean, that's a significant difference.
No, it's big, and you got that safety. They tossed the player in.
Yeah, well, so Jabril Peppers is not bad at all, and he's opposite. He could be comparable, maybe a little better than Landon Collins. So that spot is filled.
Is that like the worst feeling in the world when you get tossed onto a deal as a player? Like, we'll just give you this guy.
Yeah, well, so I can't. I wish I knew that feeling to get traded,
Right.
but I couldn't tell you.
No, well, I think I said this a little before the show. There's been a lot more trades, and I do think it's because the collective bargaining agreement's coming to an end in 2020. I think it's got a year left. I really think that's prompting people to just trade and go for it now with the current salary structure under the team, especially a team like Cleveland who's got a low-money quarterback. Because everything could change in a year, so spend it now. There's no reason to sit. Which makes me question the Giants a little bit further because you've got, like, they basically wasted a season of their star running back. Are they going to waste 2 years of him? I don't know what they can do. Like, they ran him in so much last year. Why play him? Like, what are you gaining from playing him? Besides,
Well, currently he's their best player, so he has to play.
no,
Yeah,
I know.
Without him on the roster, I mean, it's literally a college roster.
I know.
It's not very good.
Well,
The way it's constructed right now,
Yeah.
They're not going to win many games.
No.
So that also brings up the question. Let's just say, obviously, we just saw they're going to stick with Eli. What if you don't draft a quarterback this year? You go all defense with your first picks or first 2 picks in the first round, and then next year when you have Tua and what's his name out of Clemson coming out, listen? I don't want to see another tank year, but it's an option.
But there's no guarantee that they're going to have a top 5 pick. Yeah, they're
Agreed.
going to be really bad. But I mean,
You're right.
But think about what the draft stock is going to be for next year to move up to him, right? So
I'm not talking about moving up. I'm talking about just tanking again and being
right. But what I'm saying is, if the plan is to not draft a quarterback, which it wouldn't surprise me if they don't. It wouldn't surprise me if they went defense. But if they don't draft the quarterback with every intention of drafting a quarterback next year, thinking that they're going to be bad enough, okay, and they're not bad enough to get Tua, because Tua is probably going to go 1 or 2, right? You're gonna have to sell a lot more to move up however many spots to get to 1 or 2 than it would take to get to 3 to get Haskins this year.
I still think they're going to draft a quarterback this year. That's one of the scenarios that someone brought up, because next year's draft class is obviously going to be more quarterback heavy than this year's is.
It's tough to tank in the NFL. It's really hard to tank if you got a player like Barkley on your team.
Yeah, it is. And the weird thing is, so the Olivier Vernon trade last couple of days or last week, they brought in the guy Zeitler from Cleveland. He was rated number 6 overall in the entire league as far as guards go. So it's almost like they were starting to build that offensive line again. Now, what are you going to use it for? Is that just to keep Barkley safe? Is that to keep Eli safe? I don't know, but we talk about this all the time. Offensive line, defensive line is where you start. You have to start there.
If you have a great offensive line, you can win with average players.
Right.
It's pretty simple. Like that's kind of what the Patriots do. I mean, Tom Brady's good and all, but
that's just why I don't see the Raiders, in my opinion, wasting a pick on a quarterback and you have Antonio Brown. You're going to waste a year of him. You got to shore up your defense or do something better.
I'm not suggesting that. I really think they're going to go all in with Carr this year, but I don't know if any of these two quarterbacks are NFL ready to start the season. They might be a bench rider for a year.
Well, that's okay if you're going to play Eli for the year. That's fine. That's
right,
that's what he did.
Carr's on a seesaw. Like he's on Ryan Tannehill territory. Tannehill's going to get cut this week most likely. Someone's gonna. I mean, Bridgewater's projected to go to Miami now if they up their.
No, Bridgewater.
Nope.
Bridgewater re-signed with New Orleans today.
He did.
Oh, I just read right now he's got a meeting with Miami tomorrow, and if they offer him $1 million,
Really?
Go there. Yeah, so it's still on the table.
Oh, I thought I heard that he was re-signing.
I saw that he re-signed with New Orleans.
He was going to, but the Miami keeps trying to sweeten the deal. It says
Dan's got the Associated Press on a wire in his living room, so he knows what's going on.
When is this article? Oh, this was from 3:30 this afternoon, Pacific. So
6:30. So that's what, hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
So they're meeting with him tonight. Yeah, they're meeting him tonight. Miami is. So we'll see.
All right. So there you go. Miami's going to have Bridgewater because they don't have a choice. They have to throw him stupid money. They have to. They don't have a quarterback.
Well, they still have Tannehill. They haven't got rid of him yet.
Well, that's it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Tannehill's available. I like Tannehill better than Eli Manning. I like Tannehill better than Derek Carr. It's just interesting. There's this little carousel. Blake Bortles is not a complete lost cause either. I think he just needs to change his scenery. He was never great.
I was just going to mention, what do you think of Jacksonville throwing $80 million to Nick Foles?
I don't even know where to begin because the dude was a backup. Like he had 2 great stretches of football. Don't get me wrong, but Philadelphia won with defense. They won with defense. So I don't know. Yeah,
and that's fine. But he's certainly an upgrade from Blake Bortles.
You assume. Did
you watch Blake Bortles play last year? He got benched for a guy that played like Division II football, dude.
Yeah, but the year before, Blake Bortles played great.
The year before, the defense played great, and Leonard Fournette wasn't injured.
All I'm saying is Nick Foles has put together exactly one good season in compilation. Bortles has at least a good season on his resume. He also started for 6 years. Foles has never been the starter. The track record of backups who come in, look great, and then get a big deal is rather low. Look at Keenum, who flamed out. Look at everyone from the Patriots that ever moved teams. I mean, Garoppolo's played well, but then he got hurt. He hasn't even done – he's been a bust already. So I'll see it when I believe it. I like the player, but –
Hold on a minute. Hold on. I'm going to have to fight that one because Jimmy Garoppolo went 6-0 or something like that for San Francisco and then got a big deal. And on the second drive of the first game of the year, he tore his ACL. So that's not fair to call him a bust.
Did he play last year?
He was hurt, dude.
Doesn't matter. They still wasted all that money. He didn't play.
That's not a bust. If he went 3-13,
what would you call it?
Then I would say he's a bust. He's hurt. Let's see what happens when he's healthy.
Well, yeah, but we're making a judgment call today. Today, that is an awful deal for the 49ers. They've gotten nothing out of it. So.
Well, listen, the 49ers got snake bit because what's his name got hurt with the running back.
No, I mean I like Garoppolo, but I like Nick Foles. I don't remember the guy you're talking about, but
McKinnon. That's what it was.
Yeah. Well, they're projecting to cut him now.
Bud knows because Bud drafted him in fantasy and he lost him too.
So I like Nick Foles. I don't think that he's going to make the Jaguars markedly better unless their defense comes around. I mean, they won on defense 2 years ago. So, I mean, he's good. Maybe he throws less picks than Bortles, but he never.
So let's say Bridgewater signs in Miami. So then there's really no teams underneath the Giants that are going to hop them to get a quarterback at the moment. Because what's the team? Oh,
what about Cincinnati?
Cincinnati's picking. I don't even know where they're picking, but I haven't even heard anything about them.
Yeah, but they could jump over the Giants. You think they're sold on Andy Dalton?
Oh no.
I don't know what Cincinnati's doing. To be quite honest with you.
I like Andy Dalton better than Nick Foles, but was on a bet worse
Yeah,
team.
but Andy Dalton has played on a consistent level as a starter for years now.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So
Sorry, I'm gonna go back for a second. My issue with the Foles deal is the money, not the player. I think that he's good. I think he's definitely worth adding by Jacksonville. I think they grossly overpaid. I don't think there was anybody that was going to pay anything near to him this season.
And it didn't take long too. The Eagles said, "All right, you're a free. You know, we're gonna let you go to free agency," and boom, like the next day or two, he was signed in Jacksonville. That was quick.
Yeah. So, do you think Tannehill starts for a team this season?
no.
Not if they get Bridgewater. If Bridgewater signs tonight, then no.
Do you think Bridgewater's successful?
Well, because why is Bridgewater going to sign in Miami if he's going to play behind Tannehill? He can just sit behind Drew Brees and have a chance at a Super Bowl ring.
Oh yeah, no, I know, I agree.
The only team that I would have thought would have been in play would have been Washington, and Washington just traded for Casey Keenum, right? So
yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen. I think I think the writing on the wall in Washington is pretty evident that Alex Smith's career is probably done.
Oh yeah. Well, he's not playing this season. I don't think.
Or they're just using Keenum as a stopgap until they can evaluate Smith to see if he truly is done or not. Because he's not playing this year, so you need someone to step in. You're not going to play Colt McCoy, are you?
There's another busted deal. It's a shame. Injuries do everybody in, obviously. So
how funny. So I think this was today. D Ford went to where did he go to today? He got traded from Kansas City to, I want to say, a West Coast team, but I can't remember. But the poor guy, the poor guy was 3 inches in the wrong spot from going to a Super Bowl, and now they shipped him out of there.
So I'm glad you brought this up because I felt like Kansas City's weakness last season was its defense, and they've gotten rid of everybody good on their defense.
Eric Berry got cut. Eric Berry got cut today. D Ford got traded. D Ford was like the best pass rusher, one of the top 3 in the league, and he's gone.
I'm like, do they know something that we don't know? I'm super confused because how are they going to win without a better defense? They just made it worse. I
completely agree. I guess they just figure you have to outscore the Kansas City offense.
Yeah. So jury's out.
It was different. It was a different offense without Kareem Hunt, though.
That's what. Yeah, I was saying.
And he's going to be on Cleveland.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Browns claimed him.
But he's going to be suspended for the first 8 to 10 games anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, and you still got Nick Chubb in front of him. But think about that. When he comes back, you're going to have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Njoku, Baker Mayfield,
Antonio Callaway.
Pretty decent offensive line. I mean,
then you got the defense. What's the Myles Garrett on defense? Olivier Vernon on defense. Listen. Well, I think if
Hugh Jackson built the winner.
Yeah. In a span of like 2 months, it's incredible.
It's not father's Browns anymore, huh?
Listen, if it's the Browns and the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, nobody will be rooting for the Patriots. We will all be Browns fans.
I think that everybody always roots against the Patriots, but it's just me.
This is the Jets year. You've heard it here first.
I think you're right.
No,
So I know we're going to get cut off soon, but with all these trades and everything that's going on, you could probably call it up pretty quickly, Phil. What are the current Super Bowl odds?
Oh, I don't have that at the moment.
I thought you told us something about that today.
I heard that it was the Browns went from 25-1 to 14-1 today or yesterday. That's the only one I know.
So you would have wanted to bet on them a week ago, huh?
Yeah. If you were the believer that where there's smoke, there's fire, that would have been the smart bet.
The Jets had to have moved up. Probably 20-1.
They did. I did hear about them. I don't remember what it was though.
I think they were 100-1 before, right? Is that correct? Something like that. There was a whole bunch of teams that were really long shot odds.
I would have thought Phil would have had this information readily available. Clearly, I'm wrong.
I wrote about it, but it was like January when they first got released. I wrote about it, but
yeah.
I can't remember.
I think I did hear that this was the first time in the franchise history of the Browns that the Browns are anything less than 100-1 to win Super Bowl. So that's incredible.
So Patriots have been rather quiet. You mentioned them as potentially on top of the AFC because they always are. But I don't expect Rob Gronkowski to like be much of anything next season. Do we think they're going to finally take a drop off? We keep talking about it. It's like
he hasn't even said if he's coming back or not.
No. I mean, I think he's going to retire.
I
But
do
they
too.
don't lose anybody either. So I mean,
They've lost a couple players, right? They've lost
oh, did they lose?
they've lost Flowers. They lost somebody else. I forgot who else they lost. It doesn't matter. Who cares? I don't.
No, it doesn't matter. It feels like it never matters who's actually playing for them.
Did they have Tom Brady still?
Yes.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's going to compete.
It doesn't matter.
So it appears that the Giants are giving up on the season. It also appears like the Dolphins kind of are having a rebuild year. There's got to be. I'm like, who else? Like, do we think that Baltimore is kind of in that boat with Jackson, or do you think they can kind of hold it together?
I think defense. They were the best defense in the league last year, and they lost two or three of their best players. So
four of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm seeing here that the Jaguars officially released Blake Bortles.
Ah, okay.
So it's official.
So who do we want the Jets' backup quarterback to be? Do you want it to be Bortles? Do you think it'll be Ryan Tannehill because of the Adam Gase connection?
No, I think you. I mean, if I had to pick one or the two, I'd pick Blake Bortles.
Okay.
And that's because I don't think Ryan Tannehill would be too much of a headache. He wants to be a starter, right? And Blake Bortles, I think, realizes that his days of starting on an NFL team are probably done. If he couldn't start on Jacksonville, he's probably not going to start anywhere else.
Right. Well, I mean, anyone that comes to the Jets knows they're not going to be starting. I know that Tannehill wants to, but
right. And Josh McCown, either yesterday or today or something like that, basically said, "I think I'm done." Right.
Yeah, he's pretty much going to retire, I think.
And though somebody will hire him as a quarterback's coach or something like that.
Yeah. No, he's
the Jets may hire him as a quarterback.
That would be a great move. He was basically their quarterback's coach last season.
So are there any more moves the Jets can or are thinking of making? Are they out of money yet, or do they still have a good chunk to play?
They still have like $25 million that they can spend. So, but you got to keep in mind they still have the draft. So that some of that money's got to go to the players in the draft. But they can still make some moves. I'd like to see them get one more defensive pass rusher. And maybe another wide receiver, but the wide receiver you can get in the draft.
Yeah.
I think if you can move that number 3 pick, I would do it. Move back a little bit, and then try to get either a defensive player or a wide receiver.
Yeah, I think that they add at least one more guy. There's not a lot of quote big names left in free agency, but I do think they sign probably defensive end, cornerback, another offensive lineman. They need more depth. They didn't have a lot of depth last season, so they're probably doing a lot of depth, just some more depth moves. I was kind of like they retained a couple players, which I was very happy about. Again, potential starters, also depth along the D line. Interesting. I don't know what they're going to trot out because they got all new system coming in, so I don't know what they actually need in their defense. Yeah.
So we'll get a couple more days of free agent frenzy, and then we're going to hit a cold, empty period where there's just going to be a whole lot of nothing going on for about 5 weeks till the draft.
You mean we're going to talk about the NFL draft for 5 weeks?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wish the draft was like in 2 weeks. I just obviously there's a lot of stuff riding on this year's draft, and we have to wait a long time just to get there, unfortunately.
It's not going to be that far away. We have 5 weeks to the draft and April.
It's a long 5 weeks.
It's not. And then a couple weeks after that, you have involuntary OTAs. And then before you know it, it's June. And then you have
you guys aren't baseball fans, are you? Because I'm like, baseball starts next week.
Yankees opening game is Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday.
Next Thursday, yeah. Next Thursday.
Yeah. No. We're baseball, but it's.
I'm teasing you guys.
Yeah. No.
We got March Madness next week too. Apparently, I kind of lost interest in that, except for making a bracket pick. But
could care less.
Yeah. You don't pick brackets. You don't. I mean, I assume Phil put some money on it.
Come on.
Yeah, come on.
So we got between now and next week. Are we gonna get anything new and noteworthy? We've gotten a ton in this week, obviously.
I don't know. At this rate, the Giants are going to trade Barkley next week.
No, I mean, I think it's going to start to slow down. A lot of the big names are off the board now. So if anybody else is going to get signed, it's going to be, lesser known names, or there might be a couple trades in there, like start the draft pick trades and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was trying to think if there's any other players that would get traded. I mean, the ones that did get traded were talked about. Brown and Beckham and.
Well, this is the time that the Jets made the trade for number 3 was right now. So
St. Patrick's Day, whenever that is, that's when they did it. Right?
That's Sunday. So I mean, I would imagine that you're going to start to see some draft trades.
Yeah. So one of your arch rivals, Phil, the Cowboys have been like deadly quiet. Now they didn't have a lot of money to spend, but they did have some needs. I kind of surprised. Like I feel like you've seen something about every team but the Cowboys. How
pissed are they right now? Thinking, wow. We gave the Raiders a number 1 draft pick for Amari Cooper. We could have given out that number 1 draft pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers and gotten Antonio Brown. Essentially, they could have done that.
Didn't they give up 2 first-round picks for Amari Cooper?
I thought it was just 1.
It was a 1.
Oh, it's just 1.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, but I don't think they can really do anything. That's I don't know their cap situation. I don't know their roster situation. There's some teams who literally just can't do anything. Certain years they're stuck.
Yeah,
I think they're one of them.
Yeah, I guess the Giants' whole division has been pretty quiet. They must have all been kind of stuck. So
yeah, I mean Green Bay added 3. Green Bay is the one that added they were they had the second or third most money. I think it was the third after the Jets and the Colts. I mean they tied up their defense and got that a lot stronger the last week.
The Colts hardly
did anything. The Colts haven't done much.
No. They don't spend their money, I guess. It's just not
the Colts were the only other team that were possibly in the hunt for Le'Veon Bell, and you didn't hear a peep out of them all week.
No, and I wasn't surprised the Ravens got tossed in there, but then they signed Mark Ingram, which seems much more of a Ravens move. Sorry. So. Yeah,
Latavius Murray going back down to New Orleans, which makes sense because we all know what a weapon Alvin Kamara is. So if he's the only game in town, that's going to hurt him. He needs another complimentary back, and Latavius Murray is perfect for that.
So where Mark Ingram signed with Baltimore, right?
Yeah. Right. For 3 or 4 years, by the way.
Yeah. He's 31.
Yeah. Huh. I was surprised at the number of years.
Yeah, I don't know what's guaranteed.
Think about the running game there is going to go through Jackson.
Yeah, well, they're going to need a strong one to protect him because I haven't seen enough of him to think he can throw the ball yet. So.
Yeah.
He can't throw the ball and he can't hold on to the ball. He's turnover prone. You saw that in the playoff game.
Yeah. It's going to be a long season for me. I will say if anyone's looking for a discounted Odell Beckham jersey, I will sign it and I will mail it to you. Just let me know.
Ooh.
That's good, Phil. I'll take it.
I'll sign it.
And I'll send it to my brother who's a Giants fan.
Thank God the jerseys are only $25 from China. I'll just get another one.
Well, we're gonna have to wait a couple weeks. I know that you texted me today and asked if I wanted my Bell jersey. I do. But the Jets come out with a new jersey on April 4th.
All right.
I'm excited to get what it looks like.
So I got to wait to find out what it looks like. That way I can see if the China jerseys
are good. So
are real.
All right. Well, before we get cut off, we'll reconvene next week and see if anything new shows up.
All right. Don't cry too hard.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo.